It's another edition of WRAL Triangle and 2. I'm Mark Bergin. He's Pat Welter. UNC hosting Virginia on Saturday, Pat. And Bill Belichick denying the report that UNC tried to recruit Virginia quarterback Chandler Morris. He had quite the season with North Texas a year ago, and now he's the quarterback that UNC will try to stop Saturday. But some back and forth with some reporting from The Athletic, and then Bill Belichick shutting it down. Chandler Morris himself shutting it down too. What do you make of all of this, Pat? Because it's been quite a season for the Tar Heels.
Of all the things that have come out the last couple weeks, from our report about the divided locker room to all these other reports around the country, like, this is the sticking point. So petty, right? Like, no, we didn't turn Chandler Morris away. We didn't talk to him. They did admit that he talked to the agent. And it's funny, like, this is kind of an example of, like, there was another thing that came back to me where it was like UNC was trying to figure out how we got this certain piece of information in our initial report. And then they were like, well, we only told the agent, and the agent didn't tell you. It's like, there are other people that talk. There's other ways to find information. So it's just a kind of a funny, sticky point. It's like, well, we talked to the agent, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, Chandler Morris fifth in the ACC in passing and leading a Virginia team off to a 6-1 start. Virginia is ranked in this game as well, Pat. I saw Chandler Morris play earlier this year against NC State in a game where NC State had to rally back from at home. And the thing that really stuck out to me in that game, really watching him, that's probably the closest I've watched him play the quarterback position this year, Pat, is he wasn't faced by third downs. In any situation, Virginia would get in third, and it wouldn't be third and long, but it would be third and manageable scenarios. And he seemed to consistently, in that game against the Wolfpack, convert on third downs. Now, I know late in that game, threw an interception, which determined the outcome of the game against NC State, and that's Virginia's sole loss, their lone loss to this point. But this is a very good quarterback that UNC is going to have to try to stop.
And I think the crux of this story, like, beyond all the he said, she said, you know, what really happened behind closed doors in the recruiting process, I think it's an example of just yet again Bill Belichick, Michael Lombardi's kind of hubris with implementing the NFL approach and not fully comprehending how it would apply to college. Because the quote that we have from The Athletic is that Michael Lombardi said that the size, strength, measurables of a Chandler Morris wouldn't translate, like didn't have what it takes.
Yeah, Morris is about 6 foot tall, and then the Purdue transfer, Ryan Brown, who went back to Purdue, is now their starter, is about 6'4".
And so this kind of speaks to them not fully understanding maybe what works in college versus the NFL, because it is truly a different game. Like, some of the best college quarterbacks ever never do anything in the NFL. And there's all kinds of, like, Tony Romo's and Ben Roethlisberger's out there that went to all these small schools and were overlooked and ended up becoming stars in the NFL. And all you got to look at is, like, somebody like Ty Detmer, or name a Steve Spurrier quarterback, you know, Rex Grossman, or a number of others. Really showing my age here with BYU quarterbacks.
Ty Detmer's a name I didn't think I'd ever hear for as long as I. Yeah. Pat, you're in your bag right now. But listen, Morris is a talented quarterback in the ACC. We talked about him a little bit as well. Jamari Taylor, the Virginia running back as well, fourth in the ACC in rushing, 8 touchdowns on the ground for the Cavaliers as well. So he goes as this offense goes as well. And so that's something else where you have a talented quarterback, you have a running back who consistently moves the chains. And when you talk about UNC's own struggling offense, I'm like, how are the Tar Heels going to try to win time of possession in this game, where it's time of possession? We saw in the Cal game for the Tar Heels, holding on to the football and trying to win the turnover battle as well. This is going to be a tough test. Virginia, 10.5-point favorites for Saturday.
Wow. As I take off my press pass here, prepare to be on camera for the visual audience. Don't want to be that's a no-no in the TV world. I don't know if regular people really care. No, I think this is a really interesting matchup, and it kind of speaks to two entirely different approaches. We just kind of talked about Bill Belichick and Mike Lombardi's NFL approach in college and how that has been a challenge thus far to implement, to put it mildly. Virginia made a big investment this year as well into their football program. If you look at Tony Elliott, a guy that all the coaches I've talked to in the ACC seem to have a lot of respect for, but just didn't have the results up until this point. Like, you could argue they easily could have fired him after last year. They didn't. Instead, they made a big investment in their roster. From what I've read from other reports, I don't have like inside knowledge of the Virginia program, but that's what you hear. And it's working. You know, you have a guy that established a program that maybe didn't have the talent level he needed to compete. He got it, nailed the quarterback position. And Chandler Morris, a guy that, from what we're reading, sounds like UNC maybe could have had. Jamari Taylor, a local product. NC Central. Like, these guys were available for the taking. And what we've seen so far with UNC, like, of all the things that Bill Belichick is kind of gaslighting us about that everything's okay, one of the few things that he did admit was where they missed in the initial transfer portal and the initial high school recruits, and kind of admitting that, like, yeah, like the roster kind of wasn't good enough. And he said they got better in the spring, but I think we're seeing that play out on the field, that the way they approach the season has not played out. All the huge investment, all the hype around Bill Belichick doesn't mean much if you don't have the players, if you don't have the culture. And right now, Virginia is the team in the top 25.
And Pat, I think that's totally fair when you talk about those two respective players for Virginia. To your point about Tony Elliott, I thought this was very telling that Bill Belichick pointed out during his media availability this week, saying that Virginia hasn't lost a fumble all season long.
Wow.
That's coaching right there.
Yeah, that's impressive, man. And they're going to need to do it because that's irony, right? Because how did UNC lose the Cal? It started with a fumble, ended with a fumble. Like, this whole season has been so uncharacteristic. Bill Belichick, like, all the things you thought you were going to get, discipline, scheme, not turning the ball over, not beating yourself. I mean, UNC should have beat Cal, right?
I think so.
And they needed to.
The two fumbles, I mean, the very first play from scrimmage, I texted you, it's the late night Friday night game, and I'm like, you won't believe how this game started. Like, you couldn't make it up. The Tar Heels battle back, and if not for a fumble, if you just hang on to the ball, you knock off Cal on the road, you have that first ACC win. I'm looking at this right now.
Yeah.
Tar Heels have to go 4-2 down the stretch to become bowl eligible. There's that component of it, but then there's also, are they even going to win an ACC game?
Yeah, I don't think we're talking bowl eligible. We're talking winning a game, because that Cal one was winnable, and now we're in trouble here, right? Because it's one thing to rally around a game at Cal after 2 weeks of basically all the noise from us and others. Everyone became kind of piling on to a certain point. They had a bye before Clemson. They had a bye before Cal. So they probably weren't ever going to be healthier, probably weren't ever going to be more motivated. Like,
more prepared from a game planning standpoint for the extra time that you have to put a game plan together going on the road against Cal. What positives do you take away from that, though, Pat? Because I do think that UNC played better, but it still wasn't enough to win.
Well, that's the problem now, right? Like, it's one thing to come together in that spot, but can you carry it over? Because we're taping this on, what day of the week is it? Wednesday. Tuesday night comes out from Inside Carolina, which we confirmed as well. 3 more players leave the team. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to be careful here. Players leave teams, right? It's not exclusive to Carolina. We don't know necessarily that William Boone, an offensive lineman, Pryce Yates, UConn transfer pass rusher, Yasir Smith, a freshman tight end, we don't know that they left because of the culture issues, divided locker room, preferential treatment, all those things that we've kind of dictated. Now, William Boone was a guy who transferred in from Prairie View. Pryce Yates, another guy that transferred in. Now, both of them at injury situations. So it could be related to that. But just overall, right, like, you don't win that game at Cal. Now you got 3 more players leaving. The total's up to 7 on the season. And no, we don't necessarily know that that's related to the culture issues. It's starting to seem like a lot, which I think is fair, right? So where do they go from here, right? Like, he's been telling us that they're improving. The people have been on the podium all week telling us that the culture is fine, that everyone's friends, that everything is good. Well, that doesn't take away all the things that we know that happen behind the scenes. So how is this going to play out on the field? Because that's kind of my standpoint. It's like, you can tell us all you want. We've got to see it.
Let's put ourselves in Boone's shoes for just a second here, because he was a starter on the line to start the season. Started the first 3 games of the year, had a high ankle sprain in the 3rd game against Richmond. So if he's seeking medical opinions, which you can respect, get a second medical opinion. But if he wants to retain his eligibility for another year, with everything that you've seen from a Tar Heels team that's 2-4, 0-2 in the ACC, having lost 3 straight games, Pat, if you are in Boone's shoes and to say you could retain another year of eligibility and transfer somewhere else, why would he come back?
When you don't know the coach is coming back necessarily.
Why would he come back in terms of what the Tar Heels have put on tape offensively this year? If he has any aspirations to play at the highest level that he could play at, if you're 3 games in, you could say, but hey, because if you play, it's, 4 or less for the red shirt? Why would he? So if you put himself, you put yourself in his shoes of why do you come to that decision? Just think about it. He can maintain another year of eligibility, and look, we'll see where these players wind up. But to me, that's no surprise because it's fewer than that 4-game threshold.
You get in what you put in, right? And Bill Belichick and Mike Lombardi have run this team ice cold, like an NFL team, right? Players that get injured, I've heard, have their access revoked the same day. There's one specific example I know of. There's been other examples of that kind of thing reported by others. Like, it is ice cold how they deal with just people in general, right? Like the non-travel roster, like standing on the sidelines. Like, so, like all these little things that build culture, that build team, that build camaraderie that they haven't necessarily done, where you're going to run it like this NFL cutthroat organization where you get in what you put in. Because now the players are in survival mode. If that's how you're going to treat them, they're going to treat you right back. So the loyalty that you might see for some other coaches in college football that run things more, I don't know, holistically, for lack of a better word, you might see, like NC State, like there's a lot of loyalty to Dave Doran. Like, say what you want about him. Like, he builds a level of relationship and a level of loyalty with his players. Now, he's not immune to guys transferring, like nobody is. But, like, these are the moments when that stuff matters. So you're going to have a roster here of guys that are doing what's best for them, not necessarily what's best for the team going forward. And we've seen 7 players leave, and I would expect that we potentially could have more. Either they leave outright or they just already have their eyes on the transfer portal.
Sure. Did you take any positives away from the Cal game? I mean, I do think that they should have won if you could just simply hang on to the football. I know the Tar Heels' run defense has been okay, but like any other positives to this point in the season, because there really haven't been many. I know one of the running backs got going against
Hall.
Cal. Yeah, he was able to move the chains quite a bit. I thought he looked pretty good. Paysor in the passing game I thought was decent as well, but it's just like, if you don't win a game that you should, and again, the importance of protecting the football, okay, going up against a ranked Virginia team, you got Syracuse on Halloween night, maybe November the 8th against Stanford, on the road at Wake, and then you finish the season, Duke and NC State. I don't know where that win's coming, Pat.
If they continue to improve, like if they truly do build off of Cal, I do see a win in their future. But for all the things we just laid out about just kind of like the way the ticking clock works, if you're not bowl eligible, people are looking on the portal and they don't know that you're going to coach next year, all those things are going to creep in. But I will say, like in a vacuum, the positives from Cal, Benjamin Hall, the running game. We've seen Damon June pop as well in other examples. He's a true freshman. I'd like to see more of him. Like, the running backs are probably the strength of the team. We saw Caleb Hood leave. Like, that's how deep they are, at least at that position, which is kind of funny too, given like Belichick historically in NFL just like was the ultimate running back by committee guy. And like, here they are, they have like too much invested in that position potentially. Again, like, how's the NFL model being implemented? The pass rush showed up. Tyler Thompson popped for like the first time in his career, really. That was great to see. And in a game where you're rushing the passer, a game where you're running the football, you should win. And the turnovers did them in. Kind of an inconsistent, herky-jerky offense, lack of big plays. And I know they're trying to they're desperately searching for a big play receiver. And like I'm hearing different people getting worked in. I think you've seen it on the field, different guys getting worked in. They have no chunk plays. It's college football. Like, people break big plays. Like, it's been very few and far between all season.
I do have a positive. Collective Soul will headline the Chapel Thrill Game Day concert. So they'll be on early as well. So they're going to get the ludicrous treatment, if you will, Pat Welter, where we're talking about concerts at 10 a.m. in the morning in Chapel Hill in advance of the game.
The Collective Soul is a little more appropriate for 10 a.m. It's a little bit more chill, a little more acoustic, and it's a little like, and I walk upon high, and I step to the edge to see my world below. It's kind of like Creed.
No singing from Mark Bergin, Pat Welter. That's all you, man.
We will bring the guitar out next week. I got some Collective Soul in my bag. So yeah, I'm here for that, man. And I got to get there early. I forgot about that. I'm pumped. I'm a 90s alt guy, so I'm in.
Cornerbacks coach Armand Hawkins was also reinstated. So if there's anything else that comes out of what has been a whirlwind with the Belichick saga, I know we looked at the contracts and the agreement of the scrap documentary with Hulu. I would recommend anyone listening or watching this check out not only Pat's reporting on this, but also Brian Murphy as well. Definitely. He's done a great job following what's been quite the experience with the Bill Belichick era.
Yeah, like, we don't know what's going to happen next. Like, it's kind of wait and see right now. Like, there's things I'm still hearing that I'm looking into, not able to report. Nothing like of a massive magnitude. Like, I think it's kind of like, okay, like, it was a bad start. People were upset. We've laid out the reasons, so have others, and now they're kind of had their chance to respond. They played better at Cal. Can you build off it?
And the thing I look at too, Pat, is the salary UNC is paying Belichick this year, which is $10 million. And you compare that to the other coach in that similar range all throughout college football, and those teams aren't worried about, are we even going to make it to a bowl game? And I'll leave it at that.
And I mean, it's unfortunate we have to be so negative on this podcast. We deal with what we're given, right? And we have not been given a lot this football season because Bill Belichick is obviously on the hot seat. Dave Doran, if we want to pivot to NC State right now, like, he is flying under the radar underneath all this Bill Belichick mess. But their season, I can't believe how much it's devolved.
Lost 3 out of its last 4 games, NC State has.
Unbelievable.
Pitt has won 3 games in a row going into this one, so this will be a 3:30 kickoff on Saturday. Here's where I'm at, Pat. It's really simple, because we could talk C.J. Bailey, we could talk the defense. If Hollywood Smothers is the leading rusher in the ACC, let's ride that train until the wheels fall off. And in the Notre Dame game, because of how the flow of the game unfolded, you have to move away from the running game when you're facing double-digit deficits, multiple score deficits. But it's like, force an opposing defense to stop Smothers, and if they play 8 in the box or 9 in the box, then go to the weapons on the outside and rely on Bailey in the passing game. But I look at, he is the ACC's leading rusher by a wide margin with 739 yards. I would say to an opposing defense, try to stop that. And even maybe you still run it even with 8 in the box, because then you at least keep the clock moving. You keep your defense off the field. And if Bailey has struggled at all in terms of protecting the football and throwing interceptions and all of that, you take that component out of the game. And maybe this is an oversimplification, but if he's the ACC's best or one of the country's best, let's see it, prove it, and to try to turn this thing around for NC State. That would be my approach.
I think that's a good one. And it's going to be a challenge here, because I do still think this team could turn it around. Like, Dave Doran has had these kind of seasons in his bag before. I go back to the Brennan Armstrong year where that whole transfer situation completely falls on its face. To go to MJ Morris, there's a brief glimmer of light there. And then he, in this modern NIL world we live in, bizarre world, benches himself.
And it goes back to my point where that 4-game threshold to be able to maintain further eligibility, Pat.
And then they go back to Brennan Armstrong. They finish the season strong. Everybody's eating Pop-Tarts at the end. Great story. So
literally in the Pop-Tart bowl, yeah.
So I don't know if any Pop-Tarts are in their future given their current record, but they're going to need to do something, Mark. Like, Notre Dame, Like, I would give them a pass there. Like, there's a world where, any given Saturday, Notre Dame, people tend to give their best punch, and Notre Dame in the past has been known to stumble. Under Marcus Freeman, I really like the direction of that team. And I think, their 2 early losses in the year were not indicative of how talented they are. Notre Dame's a playoff level team. They're a cut above talent and coaching-wise, especially at home. So I'll give them a pass. But now you're just kind of looking, where are the wins? Because Pitt was one you probably circled as a win, but now looking at them, they've won 3 games in a row. Their losses were close to West Virginia, close to Louisville, who just beat Miami. So you kind of look at those, you're like, okay, and that's not too bad. Working in their favor, shout out to Wade behind the scenes here. He said that, I hadn't looked this up, but I guess Dave Doran has not lost to Pitt, or at least not lost to Pat Narduzzi. So that speaks well for them. But looking at these other games, like Georgia Tech is the cream of the crop in the ACC. Miami is going to be a challenge. Florida State's a dumpster fire, so maybe you beat them, and obviously Carolina. But
you've got to win 2 of those. And so I'm looking at this realistically.
2 of 5 wins bowl eligible, yeah.
Georgia Tech, ranked team right now. I think Georgia Tech would win that, and especially if Georgia Tech has aspirations to make the college football playoff. Same can be said about Miami on the 15th. So between Pitt, Florida State, UNC, NC State has to win 2 of those 3 to become bowl eligible. And so this is a big one. And I'm like, there's a reason they play the games. I'm not saying NC State, there's no chance they beat Georgia Tech or Miami. But if those teams are legit and want to make the CFP, Pat, every single week is their Super Bowl, if you will. So it's like, where are the wins coming from? Really, that 3-game stretch of Pitt this weekend, November the 21st against Florida State, close out the year against UNC. Those are your 3, kind of gotta-have-it games. I'm not even going to say kind of. Those are your gotta-have-it games if you're an NC State fan.
And the loyalty and the goodwill that Dave Doran has been able to foster with players in the past is now going to be put to the test. Because all those same factors that are affecting Bill Belichick and the UNC Tar Heels as they struggle and that transfer portal date approaches in January are going to affect NC State as well. And CJ Bailey, like we've talked about this, he is going to be coveted in the transfer portal. And if he's feeling like, as loyal as he's been to NC State, he came back this year, he's got an NFL future to worry about. And if he's not being put in the best position to succeed, and his hometown Miami comes calling, who's going to lose Carson Beck, he doesn't even make a bowl this year, who could blame him? And then there's the fact that how secure is Dave Doran's job if this season doesn't go well? Like, this could be what NC State fans have secretly wanted for years, where almost Dave Doran might be making this easy for Boo Corrigan. If they struggle to win these games down the stretch, they might not have a choice.
Pat, you mentioned Bailey. I can't believe we haven't talked about this on the pod to this point. What about Hollywood Smothers? Because he's only a sophomore as well.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. I mean,
so we're talking about how effective he's been in the ground game this year. And you might say, well, how are you saying and wishing these players away from NC State overall? Let's look back to a year ago when the Wolfpack had a guy by the name of Casey Concepcion.
Perfect example.
That is what I'm talking about. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I said this on the last pod, Pat, but this is truly how I feel. Between UNC with Belichick, NC State with Dorn, their uncertain futures with the school, and then with another school potentially poaching Manny Diaz, which we saw that happen with Duke with Mike Elko. I'm not saying that all 3 vacancies are going to be open at once, but I would be surprised if the triangle does not have at least one coaching vacancy between the 3.
And Manny Diaz, meanwhile, helping us out because we can't deal with Coach-a-geddon here. Like, I can't do 3 coaching searches in the month of December. I have 3 young children, Mark. I have a wife that's not from here. We have travel plans. The transfer portal date is moved back so they can hire coaches later now. I can't do it. So Manny Diaz, thank you. Thank you for losing to Georgia Tech, I guess, because this is a guy that I think is a good coach. But you look at this Duke team, they just keep beating themselves. They should have beat Georgia Tech. They fumbled on the 1-yard line. They've botched a field goal.
The architects of their own demise. Was that the quote from Manny Diaz earlier this year?
Tattoo that on his forehead. I feel bad for him because I like the guy. I really respect what he's doing, and he's not the one that's turning the ball over here. But you look at them, their schedule's not easy either. They got Clemson coming up. They've got Virginia. UNC and Wake. I mean, a couple of those games are not shoo-ins.
We sat in these chairs a week ago. We knew about the Penn State opening. I told you the Florida job was likely to open up, and now that it has. So if you're one of the Triangle schools and you do have a coaching vacancy, keep in mind you're going to have to go up against the likes of Penn State, Florida. We'll see which other openings open up, but some schools that are traditionally more prestigious and have more access to resources than you do here in the Triangle as well.
College football needs to, take a beat, man. This is out of control. It's out of control. The amount of money that's being paid to the transfers, I'm not trying to get in their pockets, but, it's just not tenable. Who wants to live in this where, every coach is getting fired, nobody's happy? Who is happy?
We don't know who's going to play in the bowl games. If you're not in the CFP, we have no clue, okay, is this quarterback going to play or not? Is this player going to play or not if they have an NFL future as well? It's pretty crazy.
Ohio State's happy, Indiana's happy, and that's it. Kalen DeBoer in Alabama, they were ready to run him out of town with pitchforks is like a scene in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
The other day, or at the beginning of the year after the Florida State loss. Meanwhile, Florida State's we're back. No, you're not. Did Mike Norvell get fired yet, or did I just dream that? I don't think he did yet. Right? He's going to.
Oh, man. It's crazy.
Billy Napier could have been fired, I think, a year ago. Meanwhile, Dan Mullen's out there at UNLV. He's hi. I'm going to go back to a big-time school. It's ridiculous.
I will say this again, too, just in case this is the first time someone's watched or listened to us, Pat. For the coaching carousel, it is going to be crazy, man.
Matt Rule goes to Penn State. Well, Nebraska still thinks they're the belle of the ball, so they're going to be who are we going to get? Who? There's not enough people. It's musical chairs.
I would be curious if there's a vacancy here in the Triangle, if one of the Triangle schools would consider James Franklin. You'd have to have a You have to have a vacancy before you can seriously entertain that conversation, though.
Yeah.
So it's I'm not even going to go down that line. But in terms of where all of this is heading, Pat, it's just again, what I will say, we are in for an absolutely crazy coaching carousel. And if the Triangle gets involved in that, it's just going to be, we're going to be all over it, Pat. We will be.
I'm having to punch this in because I have to confirm, has Mike Norvell been fired yet? The way it's been talked about is that it has. And the first article is response to school's vote of confidence. Okay, so confirmed, putting on my Adam Schefter hat.
There you go.
Mike Norvell has not been fired.
There
but just that's such a test case, right, of how crazy
that's another school, though,
with
more resources, though, too. And when I say that, too, it's part of it is revenue. Part of it is schools that have won national championships.
Florida State is the ultimate example of how drunk college football is right now, right? So this is the school that got on the ACC for saying that they were holding them back.
Mm-hmm.
Them, and then Clemson kind of piggies back onto it, trying to, get to the grant of rights, and they ultimately kind of got what they wanted, where they got a defined exit strategy. But now, meanwhile, you do all that, you almost make the college football playoff, you chastise everybody for not putting you in. Meanwhile, you shouldn't have been in. I'm sorry. I will say it again. Your resume was good enough. What you put forth without Jordan Travis was not in a year where there are other worthy teams. You can disagree. Others do. The important thing is what you've done since, which is completely fall on your face. The benefits that they showed.
Since that bowl game, what was it, against Georgia?
And they got absolutely
stomped. Just smoked.
And really have not recovered since. The following season was an absolute disaster. This season looked promising, and it's following right down the same path again. So the vote of confidence for Mike Norvell, good luck. I would bet strongly that he's out of there. So, that just speaks to the world we're in, where all these programs think they're bigger and better than they are. There's no patience. I guess you've got to give UNC decision makers some credit for not kind of adhering to the demands of the public and the media, at least for the short term. Let this play out a little bit longer. 5 games in, they certainly could have fired him for the start and for everything that's going on there. But I guess I got to give them a little bit of credit for just being let's just see how this goes for a minute. I think that's at least admirable to a certain extent, because everybody else, firing James Franklin mid-season, I just don't know what we're trying to accomplish here. Like, everyone has to be Ohio State? I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. Like, Curt Cignetti has ruined this for everybody.
And he should be thanking James Franklin and Penn State's decision to fire James Franklin because he got paid with his extension. And you can understand why Indiana made that decision, Pat, because he was a name of, okay, could we go get Cignetti from Indiana when I don't know. Here's what I'm going to try to figure out is in the coming weeks with the Penn State vacancy, with the Florida vacancy, what's the first domino to drop? Because then it sets everything into motion. And so, like, that is coming here in the coming weeks.
Yep.
We'll know more about that in the coming weeks. But it's like, who are the best of the best hiring, and then everything kind of falls in line from there.
You want to talk about basketball real quick?
Yeah. I know you were at Duke's exhibition opener against UCF.
And I love this new trend of like, hey, what if we, instead of playing these scrimmages behind closed doors and like only like one CBS national beat writer gets like the stats from like the one top player in the game, and it's like this cool tweet to send out because only they know about it. It's like, what if we kind of like televised it, used it to generate some revenue? We sold some tickets. Like, what an idea. And I loved getting to go see Duke play UCF last night because I got to see Cameron Boozer, right? Like every year with Duke, it's always the attraction of who's the big-time recruit, right? In the last few years, we've seen Paolo Banchero come through. We've seen Derek Lively come through, Cooper Flagg come through, and now Cameron Boozer is the next big name. And if you know the name, you should. He's the son of Carlos Boozer, and his twin brother is smaller, plays a different position, is also on the team, Caden. Caden is a guy that might be there for a couple years potentially. Cameron Boozer, I mean, the kid looked like he could get drafted right now. 33 points, Mark. And this is not playing like, you know, one of these like small level in-state schools that come to Duke just for the fun of it. This is UCF. This is Johnny Dawkins. This is a Big 12 school. This was a game that UCF had the lead at a point in time in the first half, but Cameron Boozer just took over, man among boys. 33 points.
What's his game like in terms of how he was scoring, Pat?
So this is where it's interesting. Like, he's going to be a lottery pick, potentially top 5. But unlike, like, his body type is similar to Paolo Banchero, where Banchero, I believe, is like 6'9", 6'10", and Boozer's at least that, has those like tree trunk legs, but he's just not as like twitchy with them as Paolo is, or like LeBron, who's the other one I've seen with that body type. Like, Paolo always kind of reminded me of LeBron. Boozer is much more like his father. Okay. He is more of like a throwback big that has developed some modern skills. Like, he hit a couple threes, banked one in, still counts. He will attack the basket, but at the NBA level, his drive to me like stalls. We saw this with Cooper Flagg too. Like, there's no saying he couldn't get better, but he doesn't quite have the handle or the twitch that I think makes him an NBA level superstar. But I think like his father was an NBA level superstar either, and was an incredible winning player on winning teams for a really long time.
Pick and roll type player, Carlos Boozer, two-time All-Star in his own right. And whenever he would grab a rebound, he'd always go, "Hold that!" Hold that, because I watched a lot of him growing up as a Chicago Bulls fan. So, that's really exciting, the fact that basketball season's here. I know Duke takes on Tennessee as well in another exhibition game before the start of the regular season, too. So it's like we're just weeks away from that. That's going to be here before we know it. And I know a lot of Triangle fans are going to say, bring on basketball season, because this football season has just been a bit of a disaster.
I think we need it. I think we're both exhausted from this therapy session that we just had with each other over football, because basketball, at least our teams win, man.
Any other great road stories? You always have a good nugget or two.
Well, I mean, I guess I'll take you behind the scenes of like television today. So I've got my intern with me, Corey Frazier, who we want to bring on, and I showed up to what I thought was UNC women's basically media day for the women's team. Speaking of women's basketball teams, like all 3 of our women's basketball teams, UNC, NC State, and Duke, are all ranked, all going to be really, really good. So I was excited to go meet some of the new UNC women. I walk into the practice gym a few minutes late, and like nobody's in there.
Oh no!
Like, there's
what happened?
A couple players, there's an assistant coach, and I got my big tripod and my camera. I'm like, "Hi," and I'm like looking at this assistant coach. I'm like, it's tomorrow, isn't it? And she's like, yep. And I was like, okay, I'm out. But luckily, we had Hubert Davis availability right up the street. So I drive over to Smith Center. We talked to Hubert Davis. He's in a great mood. His prayer alarm did not go off during the press conference today, unlike mine did on our last episode. But they're going to play BYU on Friday, and AJ DeBanista, I just added another syllable to his name, AJ DeBanista. So that's a fun exhibition game. One of the top, I think, the top recruit.
He'll be, if he's not the number one pick, without a doubt in my mind, he's a lottery pick, Pat.
100%.
So it's just like that'll be quite the challenge for UNC because he's. I mean, you talk about the NIL, BYU's paying him as well,
$7 million or something. So yeah, we end up. So we do that press conference with Hubert, and then we got to get back to the station and throw together this whole Rod Brindamore package, which is going to be a new episode coming out soon here on Triangle and 2. I had a great sit down with Rod. Barely made it. I barely made it, Mark. I barely made it on air. Our intern, Corey Frazier, was helping me edit, helping me write. I was editing up to the final minute and got out there. We made slot, but barely made television today.
Shout out to Corey. I know you're watching this. He's the one and only Pat Welter. I'm Mark Bergin. This has been another edition of WRAL Triangle 2. We'll have full coverage of this weekend's games. Are you going to be at the UNC game Saturday, Pat?
I will be at the Collective Soul concert with the encore played by UNC Virginia. As I step to the edge to see my world below.
That's a wrap for the both of us. Pat Welcher, Mark Bergin, WRAL Triangle and 2. If you haven't already on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. Let us know what you think in the comments as well. We value that. Enjoy this weekend's games. We'll be back next week. And check out Brian Murphy's conversation with Bryn Renner. That's out each Monday as well. Check out Pat's conversation as well with Rod Brindamore. Again, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care and so long from Petty.
Heaven, let your light shine down.